They've done over 30 million square feet of life science development in Boston, Cambridge, San Diego, and San Francisco. Life Science IQHQ actually has 3 million square feet in development right now. You might be familiar with some of our projects like the Fenway Center. If you're on the Pike over at Fenway, we're doing parcel 7, the air rights over the Pike, which is 1 million square feet of life science. We also are doing work in Alewife. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Alewife, the old Grace site. We're renovating that and redoing that. New construction. We've been working on that for 2 years with the community. IQ's mission is to create responsible places for innovation, for research. We want to be social, outstanding corporate citizens, pride in relationships, and community engagements and partnership. I think we want to talk about we received some of the comments.
So again, thank you. Like you said, we know that this discussion tonight is really important because we received your comments and concerns from our last public meeting and our last IAG meeting. And that, what we wanted to assure you is that we are committed to the relocation of the Sound Museum and that we're exploring all feasible options to be able to preserve the local community in Brighton. And we're committed to make sure that you have a place to go before anything happens with this building.
So working with Des and the Sound Museum, Des as the owner, we have to balance how we can keep Des in a place that he can afford, that you guys can afford. As you guys know, rents are going up everywhere.
Because
rents
of
are
people like you.
Rents are going up, sorry. So it's Des's business. We want to move the Sound Museum to where they can, he can establish the business again and it can flourish and not go out of business, not be in there for a short time and then have the same problem again.
Been
So
here for 33 years.
Right. So that's basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to work with Des to find the best place he can make his business plan work.
So tonight is really about a listening session to hear your feedback with respect to the relocation. And just to also let you know, we've created a website for 155 North Beacon, so we'll make sure that everybody gets that email address. And just to encourage the open communication, because this is a long process. This is just the beginning of the conversation that we have with you along with Des. And then we've also provided a survey form that was handed out when you first signed in. And it's just so that we get to know who you are, where you're coming from, if you're residents, how long you've been with the Sound Museum, and just so that we can have a better understanding of who's in this special space. So we also have Desmond here. Where's Des? Des. So part of the relocation efforts and to show our commitment to the Sound Museum, we hired a commercial broker for Des to scout locations, and then we also hired Buddy Christopher to do the design of the new space and then the construction that will follow as well. So with that, Desmond.
Okay, how are you? Hey. I'm a little bit nervous. I haven't spoken really in front of a crowd in a while. Got notes and whatnot. Okay, so for those of you that know me, I've been doing the band rehearsal business for 40 years, give or take. And I've been at this location, I've been at many locations, and along the way, between leases being up, redevelopment, it brought me here. And 32 years, this place has become an institution. And so I feel the weight on my shoulders from everybody's point of view. In fact, I've had many sleepless nights. All right? But the one thing that, and I'm just going to cut to it, the one thing that I got was a developer for the first time. And believe me, I know the feeling about everything being developed all over the city. Okay, I know that. I know what it means to the neighborhood. I know what it means in other parts of the city. I knew what it meant in Cambridge. And it's a very passionate subject. But what we have here is a connection with IQHQ, with these people that are around me right now, David, Kim, Buddy, the architect, and they have promised me with a commitment letter, and also they put their necks, as well as I did, out on the line in the Boston Globe, Vineland, the Crimson Tide, some very important papers that people are watching, because everybody, not just in this area, but all over the city, are very concerned about overdevelopment and basically turning Boston into something else. You know, I'm a guy that owns a performance space. I did here, and you know, everything's getting pushed out of the city. So I started looking around even before I met these guys to try to find a replacement, knowing that the end was coming as far as the building as it was. And I'm a realist. I saw it started with GBH 10 years ago. Then, you know, then the sneaker company guys came in. And when that started going up, you know, I'm like, wow, when is this building going to get sold? And it had been for sale for a long time. And people came in and the price tag scared them off. So a lot of people think I own the I don't own the property. I lease it. And I was originally brought here when I got displaced in the South End by the Big Dig. And at that time, I was paying $4 a square foot. Okay? So all my competitors were like, how does he do it? You know, because they had to drop their prices, which of course everybody benefited from, and still do. You know? So anyway, let me look at my notes here. I've been dealing with IQHQ almost from the beginning, and I'd say September, you know, we really started talking. And, hi buddy, that's the architect right there. So I said, what do you want to do? Well, they said, sit down. And I said, you know, I have a community here, people, hundreds of musicians that rely on me, and I feed my family. This is my business. Okay, so this is very important to me. This is scary. You know, what are we going to do? They said, sit down. We're going to do something for you that people don't normally do in our business. In, you know, developers, we're going to build you a new place. They're going to pay for it? Are you kidding me? So I was breathless. I said, that's great. Thank you so much. And then we started talking details. We started looking around. I did on my own as well, looking everywhere for something that would be comparable in price. Okay, comparable in price, so that I can stay in business with I know what you guys can pay and can't pay, right, Lefty? All right, I know. We talk about this stuff. I know what you can handle and you can't handle. And musicians always, you know, they have to struggle. But the musicians are part of the fabric of the community, not just here in Allston-Brighton, you know, but across Massachusetts, in Boston, the greater area. So I felt the weight of that. Of course, I want to save my company, you know. At one of the meetings, said, oh, Des wants to save his company. Well, a joy. And by saving my company, I'm saving band rooms and options so that the other people that do this and the other, you wouldn't believe the brokers and stuff calling me, and the prices are like 22, 24, 25, 40 bucks a square foot for the building down the street. I mean, we're paying $8 right here. And that's why you're paying what you're paying. Okay? There's a lot of things that go into a business. Liability insurance, everything else. So this place has become a temple. It's not pretty, it's a banged up old building. I know what it is. I've been here 32 years. It was banged up when we came here. All right, so let's cut to the chase. A lot of people don't, you know, there's some people that don't want to move from this spot. And I've been saying this, unless a miracle occurs, and I don't think it's going to happen, it just doesn't make sense for these developers to have metal bands and music and vibration and everything in a place that does life science. It's not gonna happen, people. Okay? And I'm not up here like, with the strong arm of the law speaking for these guys. I just know from years of seeing it, they're gonna develop the property. In 1 second, sir, and then I'll take some questions. So basically what they have offered to do is to replace the Sound Museum as close as it is in price and as close as we can to the building here. I've been everywhere, Watertown, Newton, I get all of them, okay? Cambridge. I haven't found anything under 20 bucks, triple net. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's an additional, usually around $4.50 on top of that. It adds a huge amount of price onto the rental of the properties. Okay, and then you have to pass it on to stay in business. You got to pass it on to the bands or artists, whoever is using the studio. So let me see. So what we're doing is I've looked at 3 buildings with them, and we found one building, and they've looked at others. We looked at one down near Harvard Ave. It was $22 a square foot. Again, too expensive. Needed complete. It was a gut job down there. Needed complete refit. So it was too expensive, and it would have to be passed on to the tenant. You don't want that. You need something that's affordable. So to get right to the point, we found a place in West Roxbury. Still not a done deal yet. We're working on it. There's a lot of stuff as far as, the lease, this, that, and the other thing. These things are very complex, especially when you're talking, a 20-year lease, which is what I require. I'm not going to last that long, but my kids will take it over. I got 10 years left in me, So I want the legacy of the Sound Museum to continue. I want my company to continue. And I don't know what else to say, except this was the best case scenario for me. All right, I stuck my neck out saying that in the Globe. I trust these guys, I trust that they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do. And, I don't know when we're gonna put up some contract. We were keeping that between us, but, all I can say is that here is, David, are you here?
Yes.
Come on up for a second. This is the man. This is IQHQ right here. And tell them what you promised.
Yeah, so we promised to help Des find a space. We hired the broker, like Des said. We've hired the architect. We're trying to design a space that makes sense for him. We want to help him get into a place that the rents don't go up. He can afford it and keep the business, and you guys can have affordable rents for yourselves. And we're gonna fit it out for him. We've committed to do that too. And actually, I told Des before, and he probably didn't remember this, but I'll move you guys. We'll get a moving van company. We'll come in everyone signs up for it. We'll get moved over a period of 3 weekends. You guys might be working. Music might be a full-time job, and maybe there's a gig out of town, or maybe you want to do it on the weekend, but we'll get some moving companies to come in and help you move. And we're not going to tear the place down around you. We're not trying to pull a fast one. We're not the evil empire. All we are is business people that develop life science buildings. This is a good site for it. We love the site. And, we want to make sure that the musicians get a place to go and move before the lease is up. And we've actually told Des, the lease is up, I believe, in July. We told Des we're going to keep it as long as we can, and that'll be this fall.
What he just said was he's gonna rebuild our place, and we'll have a place to go before we're gonna get evicted from here, so they can go along with their project to develop the property for what they bought it for.
And let's bring Buddy over. So Buddy's got some drawings here, and we've already had some good input from Chelsea. This is Performance Studios. You guys are the experts. What do you need? That's what we've been trying to do, kind of get and talk to you guys to find out what you need, where do you live, you know, how can you get there?
There was a guy that raised his hand. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess really kind of two questions.
Yeah, could you speak up just a little louder so we
They
can,
just built a big concert venue right across the street, and
yeah, Roadrunner.
it seems kind of weird to tear down the rehearsal complex right after that. And I guess like the second question, which is sort of a different formulation of the same, is why is this the perfect location for a life sciences center?
Well, there is a lot of life science going in the city of Boston. This area is particularly, you know,
Cheap for you to buy buildings out.
that we like because we like transit-oriented developments.
Your company has $770 million refacing in 2020, and so you have enough money to go any other place in the city, but you choose here because it's easier for you to capitalize off of it. I hope you can't sleep at night. Like, you suck.
Really? So, let me just say this, I don't want to hang on one second. So, the building's sold. If it's sold to us, or could have sold to somebody else, they're paying money for a building, we are, to develop it. Rents here are a lot higher than $8 or $9, and that's kind of the problem.
So this is my concern with the West Roxbury location. There's no T-stop up there.
Right.
Here, everyone except for me in my band doesn't have a car. To get there by bus, I just checked it out, it's gonna take over an hour. Like, I was asking the guys in my band, and they're like, that's just not gonna work. It just doesn't seem like an ideal location for almost anyone here. I mean, I think most people practice in this part of the city because they either live around here or this is sort of where they live by a T-stop where they can get here easily. West Roxbury, the public transportation there is terrible. Is there any other locations that you're looking at that's actually gonna be, you can like get from here where we are now in Brighton and Alston to there on the T in like 30 or so minutes there? I know you said, well, you can drive there. That's like 25 minutes if you have a car. Is there a location that you can do that by public transit where it's gonna take the same time? Because that's what's gonna work for me. Like, you said it's been sold. Like, you probably can't do anything about this, but like at least give us a place that's gonna work for us.
Right. So we have been looking, and I said the same thing to Des. It'd be great to get some sort of transportation in by. We actually went and looked at a place in Roxbury that was very close, and it was like 26, I can't remember.
Roxbury's not close to here. That's what we're saying.
$28. No, it was on a transit. It was a transit-oriented development or transit-oriented.
It's over by the old Boston City Hospital, which, there's a couple of places over there that have studios now. It's really not that particular building we looked at, it's not very far, and there's transit stuff over there, but I do agree, West Roxbury, you need an automobile to get over there.
So Des and I talked about maybe getting a shuttle to work. If we can somehow figure out how to pay someone to run a shuttle and get it into the
That
rents.
makes no sense to put a shuttle
It's
where
called
all of us
public
live.
transportation.
Right,
We all
exactly.
live in this neighborhood.
There's already a shuttle.
Yeah, well, we're trying to find a place that's on the T, but again, the rents are difficult.
It's driven by the rent prices around here, and not everybody in the building, about 25% live right in the neighborhood, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, who here lives in the neighborhood?
That's like
Well,
most
that makes
people.
sense because they're the most concerned about it,
Right.
So, yeah. There are some people here that live in the neighborhood, and it is a bummer. The neighborhood's gone beyond what musicians can afford, unfortunately. I would love to stay right here. I would. I want to stay here. It's just, it's priced out now. All right, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon with developers. I'm me, I had a small business, okay? And we've been here 32 years. I would love to stay right here, but it's too expensive.
Then why can't this guy pay for, if he's building you a new building, why can't he bite the bullet and pay for a new building in this area? And because of the repercussions, take accountability for all of the housing that is lost to these musicians? Why isn't he paying a piece of what this new building in this neighborhood would be?
If I could just say that there are logistical issues to look at buildings. We had to get something that was at the lowest end, 38,000 square feet. Had to be within the price range of what needed to be done. We did look in this neighborhood first, and we spent a lot of time here. Then we went out through the greater Boston area. And as Des and David have said, that the sheer cost of the rents, which, you know, we don't control, we're at the same mercy as everybody else, is really, you know, one of the driving forces, as well as
You're
getting
not
that
at
much
the
square
mercies,
footage.
you're at the advantage.
Say again?
You're not at the mercies, you're at the advantage.
No, when I'm renting from somebody else, they have the advantage. So it's like, we tried to negotiate, and a few of them we were able to get down a couple of dollars a square foot. But they were still coming in at $24, $25 a square foot, which is really ridiculous. And then that would only be interpreted over to you in the form of what you pay for rent for the space. I mean, Des can't carry all of that. And we have tried 10 different buildings right off the top. Those are the ones that I'm aware of. David, Kim, and Desi have gone to others. And each one of the buildings had their flaws or their inconsistencies.
They were. Some of the buildings were not only expensive, but there were other things, other variables, like they didn't want musicians in the building because of the noise, the late hours, things like that. Thank you, sir. And, you know, so it's not an easy thing. And I've had 12 buildings in 40 years, you know. It's not an easy thing to find something that has simpatico with the neighborhood and everything else. So, you know, it has been a difficult thing. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, a comment and then a question. A comment in regards to the only 25% of people are in the neighborhood or use the Sound Museum. Whether you live in Alston Brighton or whether you live in East Boston or wherever, getting to West Roxbury is completely inaccessible. So it doesn't really matter whether you live here or not. You can't get to West Roxbury. It takes ages. And then the question that I had was around, you had mentioned a Harvard Avenue property. Is that right?
Harvard Avenue. Oh, yeah, that's up by Harvard. That was owned by the same company, Hamilton Company, that originally owned this building.
Yeah, so I understand that, you know, dollars per square foot is a big deal, and, you know, if you're looking for 20 and they're offering 24, that's a hurdle. If it's a $4 price differential, I'm curious, you know, what has your outreach been to the city? We're getting billions of dollars in ARPA funds that could go towards funding projects like this. I actually work for a city council office, and none of you have reached out to us about
The city we've been talking to the city all along, and they have not produced anything as far as an alternative. And if you have one, please let us know right now.
Like, I haven't received any outreach about this, and
Yeah.
this is something that we're really passionate about, so we would love to find ways to.
So
make
what
it-
city council do you work for?
Julia Mejia, she's a counselor at large.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
me
let's
check
give you
with
my
her.
email, because I'm sure that there's a way, you know, we're coming up on this budget season, billions of dollars in city funding is getting negotiated at this very moment. You know, we're really intentional about collaborating with each other. I bet you there's probably a way that we could find a way to keep it in the neighborhood, because if we're talking about $4 a square foot here, I mean, you know, there's money that is being spent right now that could be used to go towards projects like this.
Could I just ask you, is your office associated with the Office of Arts and Culture, or?
So we're a city council office. The Office of Arts and Culture is under the mayor's administration. So, you know, we all collaborate. We're all in the city together. But there's a council, which is the legislative branch, and then the mayor's, which is the executive branch. So we're now.
Because I do know that people have
No, it's
reached out to the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture regarding this building and also another arts building in the area. So
Yeah.
there seems to be just,
Let's
you know, a
cross wires.
breakdown of communication there. If there is interest from your office, we'd love to know about that.
Yeah, I think there's opportunities for collaboration here that aren't being established right now that really do need to happen, because like unless we're all kind of working together, council, administration, community members, and developers here, like that's what needs to happen in order for this to be successful for us. Also, I'm an Alston resident, so this is personal to me as well. So,
We talked a little bit about, you know, what if, we talked a little bit about, and thank you for, you know, talking from a city standpoint, but we talked about this a little bit. Let's say that they decided to put it right here, okay? And the rebuild and the refit and for putting up, is it 2 or 3 buildings that are going here? Three, okay, and I think we've got some pictures of that out there. Is there anything out there? Anyway, it would displace the artists, musicians in the Sound Museum for, you know, at least 2 to 3 years. Well, where are they gonna go while all that construction's going on? So our thinking was, and what I really demanded of them if we were gonna go forward, is that there was a smooth transition to whatever building, all right? And, you know, the fact that we got the funding to do it was a huge hurdle right there. Okay, now, again, if we could find something, and I've been looking on my own, okay, I've been going around and I've met a lot of real estate brokers over the years that have helped me out, ABG, for instance, and Perishable Management, Joel Miller's company. I know these people personally, and they know the bind that I'm in, and they were looking and really pounding the pavement for me to find something that was 10, 12 bucks or less, because that's what my community of musicians can afford, and that's collectively. They have to break it up between each one, and the, you know, in the band, you know, everyone pitches in. Is usually how it works. So. Listen, if you can find another building, just step right up. Okay, please. And if there's anybody else in here in the city council, if you have another building that we don't know about, who's this?
My name's Laura, I'm from City Council.
Oh, you can. Why don't you come on up a little bit closer?
No, it's,
No, okay.
So I just want to be clear that every single elected official for this district and this neighborhood has signed a letter of opposition to this project. We support having an on-site because if we want to keep artists in the neighborhood, we need to build space for that. So we've just been trying to work with ICC on that. I think we're really happy to work with you in terms of thinking about the design that is proposed. And this is like, love to also work with the artist community on thinking about how we can work on this. But we have 3 buildings. The neighborhood currently has 4.5 million square feet of lab space approved or under development. I think we can give up 40,000 square feet in order to get and keep musicians in the neighborhood. So what ideally we'd like to see is that one of your 3 buildings given up and used as a music facility on site. Now we're willing to work with you. I know you don't want too much lab space. We're willing to work with you in terms of design, density of others. You're next to a garage, you go higher. This is what we'd like to work with you on. So yeah, I just wanted to say every elected official is opposed to the project. So that's where we're at in terms of where the city is.
I don't get how we can have so many meetings with you telling you we're not a fan of this project and like you're still trying to just like sway into the city of Brighton.
So,
Like,
let me just say a few things. The musicians and having an operating sound museum commingled into a life science campus, there's certain things that can't happen, right? The noise and the sound vibrates and it'll transfer into the steel.
Next to the highway.
The other thing is 24/7. We can't be working 24/7.
Getting kids to school safely, but it's not okay for musicians to make noise. I'm thinking about my students and their families and all the hell this is gonna cause, trying to get little kids from 4 years old and up to school on time safely because of your project. They're gonna miss but that's stuff you don't give a damn about, but you give a damn about music, about musicians? Come on.
So what was the question?
It wasn't a question, I'm rebuttaling your comment about how you can't handle having life science and merging music studios, but it's okay for your company to cause all this havoc with constructions for over a 3 period of time. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so it's difficult to make the sound museum work on campus, commingling with life science folks, researchers. And again, I know you guys like 24/7, you guys like to be here at night, you like to be, you know, it's just the cultures and trying to have tenants that are doing research, their life's research that, you know, they're months and months, years into, and it just doesn't
I live
work.
right next to the Sound Museum, why isn't anyone talking to me? I like live literally a street over from the Sound Museum. I haven't heard one of these like researchers, not a peep, no mail, nothing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like the concern with having, your probable concern with having a musical rehearsal space on site is that it would be less profitable for you. So, totally understand that, but you're displacing an entire community, and if the city is willing to help you mitigate that loss, I think you shouldn't just assume it's not going to work. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to make that happen, sound installation, you know, the placement of the building.
Yeah, and we looked at a smaller version of
If I could
it.
just finish.
Go ahead, sorry.
Like, putting this new space so far from it, I mean, it's more than the EMF, you know, happened with EMF in Cambridge, but that's effectively displacing us anyway, because most of us can't make that trip.
Right. If we could find someplace closer, it would be great. You know, we have,
Why don't you guys find someplace else?
Yeah.
Yeah, move the life sciences out to fucking West Roxbury. How about that?
I mean, well, our community is strangled as it is, we can't make and choose all these decisions, and you guys seem to have the upper hand as it is.
Yeah, you guys can.
Just find another place.
It's easier than we can.
Why does it have to be here? Why is this location so important to you guys?
So if it's not us who buy the building, if we were to sell this building to
But
another
you never
developer.
answered his question. Why is it
If
so
we sell
important to
this
you?
building, we're the owners right now. If we sell this building, it's going to be another developer that's going to come in who may not want to relocate you and spend millions of dollars creating a new sound museum that's to the needs of Des, who is the tenant. who
Donate
runs
it to
his
the
business.
city. This space should be a
I mean,
nonprofit.
to the comment with respect to Counselor Mieha's office, if the city, like, we would love to partner with the city or with elected officials to help us find a space that could work. We're open to that idea. But we are a developer, yes, but there's a lot of developers around. And again, we are going above and beyond what most developers have done in the past who have developed around here.
What do you want us like to say thank you or something?
That's
I
so
don't-
manipulative.
No, but we're trying to work with you. That's what we're trying to say, is this is the beginning of the conversation. To have this conversation with you. You know, we hired an architect who brought renderings, who's been working with Des to talk about.
Excuse me. We really need to work together here. They're gonna develop the property. All right, they are. And you may think I'm up here and I'm part of this development force. I'm not. All right. I'm really not. I really care for my company, which is the community. All right, it is. All right. I've been paying the rent in this building for 32 years and it hasn't been cheap. Well, relatively compared to now, it has been. But the whole area, which is beyond me, has developed into, like, this is a big, big, big expensive area in Alston. And these guys have, obviously, my friends are pissed, everybody's pissed off that they're getting moved out from this place. We have people, and I said this earlier, from every part of Boston, Cambridge, Watertown, even the South Shore. Some of them come all the way down from Gloucester. I was talking to somebody last night who actually supports the fact that, wow, we're gonna have something other than nothing. Okay? And the city did not put this together, this company. All right? I put it together. With my money and my sweat, I built this thing. It took me 5 years to build this. And do I want to see it move? No. But it's gonna be either moved or it's gonna be eliminated. Because this property, whether these guys do it or the next guy do it, this is a development zone, and this is a much bigger problem. And if the city has buildings, they pontificate about that, and they seem very friendly about it. I've had numerous meetings before I got to this stage. You know, it's not going to be this group goes here and that group goes there. This is my company. I'm keeping it together. These are my people, and there are a lot of musicians that are here that in this building, there's over 400 or 500 of them that are on the side of getting a new place. All right, now you guys are here, they're not worried because they know, I said, this is going to get built. I'm not sure where it's going to be. If we can get closer, or somebody will donate, take some rent off the top, so it's affordable for you. Okay? All this negative crap is pissing me off. I'm trying to thread a needle here and offer everybody a new place to go. And I'm sorry it's not going to be right here in Alston, Brighton. If it could happen, I'll get down on my knees and give thanks. But it's so goddamn expensive. All right? And I don't stand up here like, you know, I speak for the Boston music community. But I'll tell you something, I did create a community. And it took 40 years to do it. And it's not, you know, I don't want to be up here being that guy that's, oh, well, he's the head of the Boston music world. No, this place over here, Alston Rock City, for the last 32 years was carried by the Sound Museum, and everybody else around from 52, these other smaller places that are doing this, all right, they fed off of me. And when I had to like give up a building here and there, so and they were able to grab tenants for their place. And I got to tell you, if we don't build this thing somewhere in Boston, the prices of band rehearsal rooms are going to go through the goddamn roof. They are. All right?
I will say,
If you want to find me a building right around the corner that we can afford, go get it and we'll build it there.
I don't think you built the community, I think these people built the community. This is their community.
There's 50, 60 people here. There's 400 people in the building.
Do we need to remind you, you're a landlord. You didn't pay for the past 40 years. Your tenants paid for this building.
Oh, get off it, lady. I pay my dues.
Not a lady, but thanks. Cool.
These are the musicians.
All right, well,
These are
whatever,
the people
you know.
speaking to you about their concerns. This is the community.
It's just crazy that you think that you're going to have a company come in and, put $1 million into rebuilding a place so people have an option to go. And I don't know the exact amount, but I think it's going to be pretty hefty.
It's even crazier to see the arts community of your city be ripped away from you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy part. It doesn't have to do with you.
Hey, guys.
Well, we don't need you either, buddy.
Can I ask a quick question?
Huh?
There's some raised hands.
Please.
There's a few of us here that are from 119 Braintree Street. It's, you're sort of mate over here with all the visual artists, the sculptors, the painters, whatever. And we wanted to come over first and foremost to support you all here, but also raise the same issues we've got over there. We didn't get an article in the paper, though we've been trying desperately. And why can't the developers here, there's all these individual developers building life sciences buildings, why can't you pool a percentage of the money you're spending and get a building big enough for all of us and preserve some of the artistic and cultural capital we have in this city? It would be good for you, it would be good for the city, and certainly be good for us. You certainly have the capital to do it.
Right, and
We
I
agree
work
with
with
that.
Fran,
If
and
we
I'd
can
like to
find,
just second what he's saying and say that would be the perfect solution, because as you were saying, it doesn't work to put musicians in a life science building, or it's not compatible, but
it isn't.
as you said,
the musicians like to work late, well, they actually have to. And the way that we work is the way we have to work. It's not necessarily compatible with a life science building, but if there was a designated building, as there is now, for this type of work, for artists, for the community of Boston's arts, that would be, we've all been saying that, and we've all been advocating for that.
So we have met with some developers. We'd like to get together with them and find a place. And if we can find a place local in Brighton, Alston, where we can help the musicians, even with some housing, we're all for it. And we have had meetings with developers. And it would be great if we can find that property, and we're still looking for it now. So, like Des said, it's not a done deal. We obviously heard the city might be able to help Des. We also have heard that, we're not getting supported from the city. But big picture is, we'd like to help, and that's why we are.
Like, you didn't even send us, like, our office, the invite to this meeting. I had to find out from someone else. So you saying you're willing to work with us? I mean, that hasn't been happening.
So we have communicated with Councilor Braden's office through email. Catherine O'Neill, who works with us, has also reached out a number of times. But what we're saying,
We're looking for a place. We'll continue to look for a place.
Can you let her speak?
Well, I didn't get to finish. I was actually.
Who cares? Let her
responding
speak.
To this young lady.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So we have been working with other developers. We want to find a place local, and if we do, we're gonna participate. That's what I was gonna say.
I think that, so how we would like, I think what would be great is if you could share specs on the building with the mayor's office of arts and culture, which they've asked for, in terms of what exactly makes, sound be compatible with life sciences.
so we submitted a memo to the BPDA about 2 weeks ago with respect to the noise and vibration issues.
I think you're correct. We don't have buildings here, we don't have land, and that is why we're so dependent on developers carving out space for them.
No, and again, to what David is saying is that we are more than happy to partner with the city, with elected officials to find a space that can become a community music space. We'll work with developers,
This is the point I was gonna make. Can I just question real fast and then can we go on? Thanks. All right. I'm not gonna be confrontational. Okay. I live presently in a BPDA rent stabilized unit, right, in Dorchester. Now, after being told that, it takes years and years, I got my place in like 3 weeks. Now, it's different given it's residential, but there is no parallel program BPDA does with Boston Council for the Arts like that would allow us to at least look at a rent stabilization where the city kicks in with a tax break. I know that's how it works with rent stabilized lottery units, because I've got one.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great question, and I believe we have a representative from the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture here as well. But there is a program, I believe it's the Art and, I might be getting the title wrong, but it's like an artist live space.
I thought there was one,
that is certified by MOAC and BPDA. So definitely open to having that conversation.
Yeah, I thought there was a door open there, because I know when I was filling out the normal 75 pages of paperwork to renew my lease, they mentioned if you can qualify as a MOAC artist, and I'm like, no, I play guitar loud, I'm not an artist. But there is some sort of rent stabilization program that works in coordination with BPDA. I just want to establish that we think there is one, am I right? Okay, cool, thank you.
Anyone else? Francis, did you want to say something?
Myself?
Yeah.
I'm a daytime musician here. I don't need 24/7, that's number one, right? I come here in the afternoon, I'm in bed 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm an older musician, you know it is. So, is there any timeline when they think the curtain will fall?
It's been a 24-hour facility for 40 years, Francis.
No, but I mean, as far as.
In fact, it's one of the gifts that is given to the bands, that they can come in. I mean, you know how it
No,
works.
I'm not talking about actually that, I'm just saying that the daytime thing, we're working with, I could work with the people over there in the labs. I'm more concerned, when do you think this building might turn over? We have to get out. Is there a date, any kind of, is it 6 months, is it a year down the road? Could it be 2 months down the road? A timeline.
It's over when they build me a new space and we have someplace to go.
Okay.
That's your answer.
All right.
Where?
Again, we can keep looking. The cheapest thing that we could find in a very nice building, and believe me, Ed, it's not my neck of the woods, but realistically, unfortunately, you know, it's $9 a square foot. Basically, that's comparable to what we're paying here. Now, we pay $8, I think, gross here. We pay the utilities, and there's a tax thing over there, so that's what a triple net lease means. You pay, you know, taxes, property taxes and things, so that adds up. So, you know, when someone said, oh, if there's only a $4 difference, if we're paying $20 over here or $24 over here, you gotta add $4 because everybody, all these owners right now are reaping whirlwind profits on their rental spaces. I mean, crap that I looked at, and I mean crappy buildings that I looked at years ago are like going for outrageous amounts of money. You know, there's little pockets of stuff, you know, like 2,500 square feet or 3,000, but we're trying to build a 40,000 square foot building. All right, because that's what this is roughly. And the West Roxbury thing, and I know people don't like it because of where it is or whatever, it's a really beautiful building, but it is a pain in the neck to get over there from here. But we do have a contingency of people that live over in Dedham and that area, you know, and over in the, you know, I forget the area, the other part of Roxbury, which is closer to the old city hospital. And that's a renaissance is going on over there as well, guys. It's, you know, you're not going to find, look yourself, get on LoopNet, take a look. If you find me a building, I will take Mr. Surratt with me to that building, you know, in chains. I say, look at this building, it's right down the road. Okay, I will. I'm comfortable here too, by the way. So I just don't want the opportunity to go by where we get nothing.
Yes, I'd like to first acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you, Des, for what I hear, and I think that you're doing the right thing. Really sticking up for the musicians and finding a new place is important. These guys have already bought the building, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. So if we focus on getting a building that's gonna be perfect for us, then that's probably the best thing you're gonna do. First of all, I just wanna thank you, Des, for the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much. It's nice to hear that. You know, last night, I know. We have tried to stay in Boston proper, okay? The city, you know, with our conversations, and I've had them, before I met these guys, I had the city in here on the behalf of saving my community, if you want to call it, in a romantic way, but also, yes, saving my company. I put years of sweat into this thing, okay? And I still have bills to pay. You know, I'm a musician too. I've been in bands forever. Everybody knows that about me. And, you know, I'm not a dirtbag. I'm not something that's rolling over because these guys want to develop this property. I've been around so long. I started when I was 24. I'm 64, so it's about 40 years. And I've had everything from the very first few years I started being taken by the big Dave, knocking on the door. Hey, we're taking your building by eminent domain. Are you shitting me? I got a little kid who was here earlier, Casey, everybody knows her. And my wife, we were in our 20s. You know, and so it got, I've seen everything. And I've never, ever, ever been helped by anybody. The EMF building, we got a screw job. Okay, so I just want you to consider that if these guys will look and try to find something, are they gonna pay my rent? I don't think so. Are you, Dave? You gonna pay my rent? You know, that's a no. You know, they're gonna build it out and they're gonna hand the keys and say, and make sure everybody that wants to go, everybody has a choice. Some people could go over to their competitors or whatever. I hate to lose anybody. But, you know, it is what it is. And if we can't find something that's in the price range, it's over. You know, at this level. You know, unless the city steps up again and gives us a building and then calls it whatever. You know, do I have to turn my company into a nonprofit to do it? Well, sure, I'll do that. You know, but it costs money to lease a building. No one gives real estate away. Nobody. You know, the Artist Asylum was fighting forever over in Somerville, and they got moved by Harvard with a subsidy. I think, don't hold me to this, you can look it up yourself, but I think the subsidy brought it down to $24 a square foot. I already told you we're paying $8 gross here. That's a hard number to come anywhere near. In fact, if we don't get this building, someone else will. Then what?
Can we just go back to the point about how life sciences and music can't coexist together?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Danny, speak up a little bit.
Wait. You guys have an architect right there. Can we stop pretending that there aren't methods of construction that allow us to float a space so that sound won't actually vibrate? Like, these things exist.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Dan, and Buddy definitely knows his stuff, and he can take the floor. I think it's also, I hate to say it, but I think it's a cultural thing. It's like putting heavy metal bands in, you know, down at St. Elizabeth's Hospital or something. You know, there's the community has to have its space, and they're selling something else. That, you know, you might have musicians working there and everything else, but, you know, the actual activity of coming in and jamming all night long and everything else, I mean, that could be a problem for them. I mean, I don't really care. But, you know, you can see their point. They're saying, this is what we can give you. All right?
When do we allow life sciences in our space?
You know, I'm not...
That's a culture class issue for me.
We have a brand new music arena down the block with a track above it,
Yep.
housing next to it. I mean, they must have done.
Well, that
Sciences across the street. I'm sure they're doing.
Yeah, I hear you there. We're talking about...
Culture clashes anyway. Like, the whole neighborhood is built on top of everyone coming together in the first place. I don't understand why we can have, you know, luxury apartments next to low-income units, we can have life sciences next to art space.
I think it comes down to money. It doesn't everything, guys? Yeah.
But does it have to be your money? Like,
I don't have the money to even come close to doing something like that. Kidding me?
So I want to say that, sorry, you're raising your hand, but I could. Yes, I understand this is out of your hands in terms of money, but to the developers, if you guys really care about the artists in Boston, the art scene, the music scene, and not displacing us, you or anyone here from the city, but mainly you guys, if you can give us just a little more so that we can get something that's not totally on the other side of the city, away from any public transit. You gotta take multiple bus routes, it takes over an hour. Like, if you can do that, that's gonna make all the difference.
There's been a little discussion, actually more than a little, about, if you don't mind me saying, David, looking around for a pilot building, a smaller one that couldn't house everything we've got here, but, you know, maybe 30 or 40 spaces for a percentage of the people that, you know, like Chelsea that lives in this neighborhood. We're still looking around for that, okay? So but we can't get up here and say, hey, we've got it, and this is, because we don't. because of the cost. We looked at the building down here on the right, so it's only 7,800 square feet. It's $40 triple net. $40.
Can I just say something? I've had my hand raised a little bit.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm a member of the IAG group and I live in the neighborhood. I'm not a musician.
Mhm.
You have a creative community
Yes.
who are asking you to come up with a creative solution. I mean, there cannot not be some place where, I mean, we have multiple examples of mixed-use developments, intergenerational things. The elderly people don't want the little kids, they put the little kids in the building and it's outrageous, they love it. I mean, there's lots of different, you're gonna have 3 buildings here, and it seems to me to be able to not say that you can set aside space in 3 buildings is crazy. David started the meeting by telling us in glorious terms how much money they have and how much they develop. Don't start the meeting by telling us how rich you are and then say you can't do anything.
Let me ask you a question. Are you a part of the artisan community that's over there by the highway that's now getting, I know you said you were, because a couple of the women that are involved in that have contacted me to talk, about this. I've also been at the talking with Scott Madelon, who's a very close friend of mine that runs a business association down there off of Harvard Ave in Alston. And both Scott and myself have been communicating about buildings. He found one where the Christian Science people have one that's been sitting empty for 20 years. I said, wow, there's an opportunity. Because, I would like to stay in the area. This is where I've been for years, but it turns out that they're doing a development over there of some kind. I'm not sure what it is, but it's gonna be big money rent. So the whole area is going that way. Chelsea, have you seen a building we can afford?
I think we're in one. I think everybody here has afforded this building for a long time. I think this is a great building for artists to continue using. I think it is. We've been using it for a long time. There's no reason why artists have to move. There's so much empty, vacant bullshit space for you to do your little lab art shit. We have a building. There's all this empty area here that could be used for more nonprofit stuff. There are other people, other artists getting kicked out. You guys need space. Look at this awesome space we're in. This is empty 24/7. It's ridiculous. And they want to tear it all down and do stuff that we don't care about. Nobody cares about but his pockets. It's so humiliating.
There's also 600 life science buildings in this city. Why do we need a 601st one?
Because it makes David richer.
That's true, but.
Right, if it all comes down to just money, we won't have any artists or musicians left in the city, and is that
That's
all
a
that
concern.
people care about?
That's a concern of mine too, because a lot of my friends are some of the artists, the core artists, the premier artists, friends of mine, recording artists. I've got a lot of friends over the years I've met and been very great to have them as friends, and it's the complexity of what's going on in this city is very similar to New York and what happened down there. And fabrics of communities are,
Well, they have grandfathered properties in New York, and people who have been in their properties have been able to hold on to their rents.
Yeah.
And this is very true for
Right.
a bunch of people I know.
My drummer
They've been
in my
there
band is
for
in that
40 years, And they
situation.
hold on to what they have. Boston doesn't have any of that. Prices that just go up. So, and real estate developers are making it go up.
Right.
When they look at the development, they go, oh.
I know,
this is
and
$40
when you look at it,
per
most
foot.
of
It's
the
not
stuff
eight.
that's driving it up is the housing. And we've seen that happen.
High-end luxury housing, yes.
Yeah, luxury housing,
I
exactly.
can remember when the South End was cheap. I can remember when South Boston was cheap. I can remember when Chelsea was cheap. I can remember when Charlestown was
Everett.
cheap. Everett.
Yeah.
Jamaica Plain was dirt cheap.
Well, that's the problem.
Give land away out
That's the
there.
problem. Trying to find a building, that's the problem. It's money. It's trying to find something in this booming, Yeah, I mean, I'm almost waiting for everything, I wish everything would crash, because that's when I thrive, that's when I grab a bag. Catherine?
Can I come up to the mic?
Yes, come on. I don't have all the answers, guys, I'm trying like hell.
So we're being told we can't mix this, Buddy, the architect?
Yeah, Catherine's gonna talk first, and then we'll bring Buddy on, is that cool? Huh?
So, the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, as well as Councilor Braden and some of the elected officials, did ask us to put together a memo talking about what we've mentioned tonight about sound, vibration, security. So we're happy to share that memo. Again, we submitted to the BPDA when it was requested of us, so more than happy to share that and explain why they don't mix.
This is my wife, Catherine, and she's been by my side for 40 years in band rehearsal rooms. No, Chelsea, we're gonna let Kathy speak. Then you can come back. Go ahead.
I'm really glad I'm here. I needed to get in touch with what everybody thought and felt. You know, I've been knocking on doors, I've been talking to my tenants, and trying to find a way to wrap my head around how I can think outside the box here. I'm a little bit more of a liberal hippie than my husband, and I firmly believe there is a way to make sure that not just the Allston Brighton artist community, but the voice of all the artists in this city learn from this to use their voices. You know, you're a small percentage of our tenants. I imagine most of you are here because you are from here. And what you have to say, I believe, is a reflection of all our other tenants and all the other musicians and artists in the city, because there are other artists being displaced, as you heard here. So for me, I have been listening and learning and reaching out just recently to the city, and will be reaching out more, because to me, putting another rehearsal complex up anywhere, it's not going to be enough to take care of the artist community in this city. You know, and you're right, there's a lot of money out there. How do we all work together so that we can put the pieces together and use our voices to get the people that have the power to support? And I say us because I'm a musician too, in my entire life. All right? So again, I'm reaching out to the city. I want to hear from everybody what I can do to help. That's why I came here tonight. I believe that there is enough money in this city to support the arts. Boston's one of the top 5 cities for its art programs, for its funding for the arts. You know, I've done some research, but I'm only one person, you know, so for me, more meetings, more communication is important, and, you know, more listening. We need more of this. We need more of listening to each other, because I don't think this is a great precedence. This is a developer coming to us and saying, we hear you, what can we do? And then we say, we only have so much of a ceiling with what our tenants can afford. We can't afford what is available in this neighborhood. So that's a place to start a conversation with the city and see what's possible in regards to getting subsidies, getting support, creating some sort of entity that actually gives the artists a voice and a place where they can do their work. Because musicians by nature, their heads are in creativity. They're not about money. So I hear the anger and I hear the negativity, and it's very valid. But what can we do with that that's constructive? And, you know, so I'm here to listen to people. I'm here, come to me, talk to me, tell me what I can do to help you. Because I know that this is bigger than us. This is not, what's here is not the problem. You know, it's a little teeny voice of a big voice of people that really need, that are underrepresented, that are supported. And a person shouldn't have to choose between doing what they feel is their calling and eating or having a place to live. Because as a society, you know, everybody goes and buys a ticket. None of us will care about paying $45, $65, $100 to go see a show, because the connection of art and music is a human necessity to me. And so I think of this very seriously, that, you know, it's not about the money and it's not about the property, it's about the people, you people. And I want us to talk more. I want us to find a way to create a space that is better than the situation that we find ourselves in. You know, and in regards to people saying, well, you are very wealthy, to our developers, and I apologize, I get cotton mouth and I get nervous. You know, just because someone says they work for someone that has a lot of money, it doesn't mean it's their money to spend. Because I asked those questions. I'm like, well, if there's developers so wealthy, maybe they could buy a building. They are a real estate investment trust, and the money that they have, that their investors give them, is specifically for life science. I already asked the question. So their hands are tied. They can't go out and buy a building for musicians. So, you know, but there's a lot of money out there, and there's a lot of property still out there. And if we can find a way to bridge that gap between what tenants can pay and what kind of support they can get from the city or from fundraising or from other private entities. You know, other companies do this. It's not the first time that what I'm proposing has ever happened. It just means being creative and thinking outside the box and continuing to have civil conversations, because the negativity isn't going to help me or you or anybody. That's all I have to say. Thank you. I'm sorry, Chelsea, what's up?
No. Can I say something really quick? I get that you want to defend yourself here, but I don't think our beef is really with Des or with you or with the idea that you want to maintain a business. That's fine. We want. I think David should be talking, or Buddy the architect. Yeah. Like we're trying to actually get information. You're explaining his information for him, and I feel like he's using you guys as a shield right now. If we could actually talk to the people who own this building and plan to demolish it, that's what I think would be the most beneficial way for us to kind of, I don't know, just didn't mean anything. I think we want to talk with David and Buddy and
I get it.
Move forward.
We've been where you are before. You know, we have been displaced. We have been displaced by progress. So, you know, I'm getting cuddled. So I think that's, you know, important for us to say that I'm not anybody's shield. You know.
Good.
So
Then can we?
talk to them.
Then we'd like to talk to
You can talk to
them.
David, but, you know, putting some of these words to that.
We want to talk to David.
Yep, well, I'm gonna say, we're nobody's shield, we're speaking for ourselves.
Okay, you're still speaking. Can we talk to David?
Yeah.
I said be civil. I mean,
David,
being
come on up,
uncivil's
it's
not
your
gonna
turn.
Matt has
Can
I
up for a
interject
while.
something? I'm an architect. I've been doing science buildings and laboratory design for 30 years. Don't hold that against me. I know that unequivocally you can separate and mitigate noise and vibration by constructing design that is decoupling the two buildings and systems from one another. We built science buildings on top of parking garages next to train tracks.
And we did show some of those spaces. We did show that to the MOAC. And we used mass, obviously. We have a thickened slab.
Yep.
We know all the tricks. We agree. I think the biggest problem is going to be trying to have the 24/7, trying to get the researchers in and out of the building, and, you know, we have the park. We're trying to do a public park. We're trying to do a public park.
has them enter in different places.
Yeah.
Researchers work 24/7 also.
They do.
You know, they're night owls, they run their experiments all night long, they're gonna be there.
It's actually better at night for the bands. It's just during the day.
Yeah.
The other thing is,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
So Buddy, what experience do you have in building music spaces? What's your experience with managing sound and having that kind of experience?
Okay, I've been a registered architect for 45 years. All of my work, 95% of my work is in Boston. I've done a lot of sound studios for places like the Boys and Girls Clubs and things that are bringing art back into the neighborhoods through.
I'm talking about sound, Buddy. What kind of experience
Well,
do you have
these
on
were
sound?
music venues that were sound. They were all sound-treated spaces so that the children could get first-hand experience of doing what they're doing. And then in another life that I lived in with, when I worked for the city, and we did everything we could for the artists. I mean, I spent years trying to negotiate deals between the African American Artists Association and Northeastern. The city has always advocated for the artists, all forms of art, not any one venue. So I've been on that end of things for a real long time. The acoustical treatment is, you know, I'd be a fool to say I was an acoustical expert, but I will bring one in to deal with it. We've done a lot of work with that. The technical part of this project is very interesting, but with the life sciences and the artists together, that does create some problems. There are security issues and things like that that are all wrapped around the way things happen in these buildings. So that's where the idea is, and what we have done, as an architect, I've never been in this situation where a developer came to me and said, we have a client that we need you to help. And it's been pretty much hands-off from David, so that I've been working with Desi now for about 2 months, and we talk and work every day. We have looked at every possible building. There's a criteria for what we're trying to do here that is very difficult. I mean, $8 a square foot doesn't exist in Boston. And we were able to find this one.
Right here. It exists right here.
Yeah, well,
Keep
thank
saying
you.
that.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Whose fault is that?
I wish we could do something about that.
Yeah.
I think everybody
And if
does.
you're not an acoustical expert, it sounds like you need to hire somebody and use acoustical.
I just said I was going to.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know, sir, I don't know what your commitments are. Maybe there's some business card sharing that needs to happen here?
There'd be an engineer that I would go to, for sure.
Yeah, but it sounds like someone's qualified. In your 45 years, if you don't have experience in doing this, it sounds like we don't have the right architect of our
Yeah, well,
day.
whatever I say
Not
is
that you
good-
can't learn new things, sir,
No,
but.
whatever I say is gonna be twisted. I have done it. I've done it in a number of venues. We did it over on A Street for the artists over there because there was an entertainment venue put there. Those artists actually got together and bought the building themselves. It was the first time it ever happened. And it was a tremendous coup. And the idea and the charge that I've been given by David is to try to make this thing work. They didn't tell me West Roxbury is the place we're going. That was never the discussion. The discussion at this point is to try to find a place, and we have been looking. I've been with Des on a number of field trips trying to find the buildings that make sense, or the buildings that offer the most. We know West Roxbury has got problems. Transportation was the first thing we talked about. There isn't much that we can do to make that better. We're trying to grab 40,000 square feet, and this is no rhythm. I'll give you my phone number right now. Anybody's got a line on a building that has that kind of open space, that it would allow musicians to come to it, we will definitely talk to. We'll be there in a heartbeat.
Okay, so security is an issue. If it's a separate building, I'm pretty sure that we have some security experts in this city that can help you figure that out. And again, if you have this much money to be able to developing that. When you're talking about, you know, the dollar is